Pastor Tunde Bakare, you're welcome to the United Kingdom. Followers of SaharaReporters would want to know what brings you to the UK.
Thank you very much. To many Nigerians, UK is a second home because of a long history from the pre-colonial days and post-colonial days, but that's not why we are here this time. I've lived in this country before, but the primary reason for coming this time is to begin to sensitize Nigerians in the diaspora, especially in the UK, to begin to think more of their home country and the country of their birth, and to begin to collaborate with those inside, so that those in the country and those outside the country, especially as many of them have been well exposed, skillful, and are professionals in different fields of human endeavor, to come together to rebuild our nation and to restore it to its past glory.
Many would ask, what is a pastor doing in the mass movement, political movement? Questions are being asked. The calling for a pastor is actually in the Christian to carry folks along, to bring them to Christ. What are you doing in politics, activism?
That's what the most... I want to be very careful and choose my words, because those questions would have been totally irrelevant if the church has fulfilled its primary purpose. When Jesus was living, he said, "All powers in heaven and on earth have been given to me." All powers include all powers, whether it's political, economic, social, spiritual, and otherwise, all powers. And then he said, "Go ye into the world and make disciples of every nation." So when nations are going to decline and chaos, it is the primary responsibility of those who are spiritually inclined and who know the purpose of God in the nations to rise up and stem the tide of evil. The Bible makes it plain. God rules in the affairs of men, and he gives it to whosoever he wills. The Bible calls Jesus the governor amongst nations. The book of Proverbs says, when the righteous are in power, the people rejoice. When the wicked rise, they groan. Where are you going to get the righteous from, except from faith-based organizations? They are the ones teaching morals and ethics in society and modeling it, and they are not getting involved. It's what has landed us in this trouble. You can't call God apolitical, so his servants cannot afford to be, or else you leave everything and things degenerate, then you begin to cry. We have done enough fasting behind the scene. We have done enough praying behind the scene. Fasting is good, praying is good, but we need action where it matters. And Jesus loves the poor. Majority of them are what you call the masses. They are not masses. They are created in the image and the likeness of God. God cares about them, and so do we.
And we know Pastor Bakare, the firebrand preacher. We know Pastor Bakare, you've had run-ins with your fellow men of God. But now we know Pastor Bakare of the Save Nigeria group. And questions will be asked, what is Save Nigeria group all about? What has it achieved? And where do you intend to take the SNG to?
Too many questions rolled into one, but I will attempt to answer you. Number one, the Save Nigeria group is a child of necessity. It's born of vision. We are given a divine assignment, but mortals, mere mortals like you and I are going to execute it. I said that Save Nigeria group is a child of necessity. For almost 50 days, Nigeria became headless and voiceless. When the former head of state, who unfortunately became sick, was shipped supposedly outside of the country for medical attention. At that point in time, the country was sick, the president was sick, but the president was receiving treatment, the nation was receiving none, and we became voiceless and headless. And so at that point in time, in order for constitutionality to take place, for us to to comply with the prescribed constitution for the nation at that point in time, namely the 1999 constitution that made provision for the office of the acting president, in lieu of a sick or dying president, we took to the streets that this cannot continue. And most of those who saw then, especially the chairman of PDP, Obulafo, he said it was a roadshow, but that was what saved the day. And today, we move beyond just having an acting president to having a full president because Yar'adua passed away. Talking of the achievements of Save Nigeria Group, as an umbrella of so many organizations, civil society, civil pressure groups, different faith-based groups. There were Muslim groups, there were Christian groups, there were civil society groups, there were political groups. We all came together that we cannot let this thing continue to go this way. This nation will slide into chaos. That we were able to arrest. Even the president of Nigeria himself admits it, that but for Save Nigeria Group, only God knew what could have become of Nigeria. I'm quoting him more or less verbatim when we met him as a group, to have a dialogue with him. That's one. Two, we have given Nigerians hope. What was lacking before was not social mobility. It appeared social mobility was frozen in our country, but when we rose up, we realized that these people were looking for credible leadership and they're willing to back all that we have done up. That's why you see them trooping out onto the streets in Abuja, in Lagos, and wherever SNG, including on the Coast Stadium, the last one we did, and the outing we had with another group in Abuja recently, you will see people wanting to know what's SNG doing, what's SNG saying. And to answer your final question, the future. Many think that the Save Nigeria Group will transform into a political party, but it's not going to. However, it will bring arrowheads within the group together, and they can form an independent party, or the group, the SNG group, can begin to identify those who are, hey, this is a good candidate, present a platform Nigerians to Nigerians, while these people debate themselves out, so that we know those who are genuinely interested in the future of our people and the betterment of the society, and those who will be for business as usual, whose major job is power for sale and not power for service. So there's a future in this organization. It's going to outlast you and I, because we want it to remain there in case even people will trust and we think will perform better, don't do it. It will immediately go into action and say, this nonsense had stopped and we would not let it resurrect.
Now we've had, Nigerians do acknowledge what SNG did under the dying days of late President Yar'adua. But criticism has always been that under Goodluck Jonathan, SNG seems to have mellowed down its activities. One of the pointed criticism is the seeming quietness of SNG as it relates to the issue of the inconsistency of Goodluck Jonathan. Can we rightly conclude that SNG seems to be very comfortable with the current administration of President Goodluck Jonathan?
I can say this categorically here, this without mincing words. Now, one of those who called me to say, now we know you are not in support of any of these two people, either the President Yar'adua or the President Jonathan, was the ADC of Yar'adua himself, who called me when he saw a press interview I granted, that we seem to be moving away from the politics of go slow to the politics of treadmill, motions without progress. You are not following our activities properly. We are not hot brains. We just don't take to the streets. There must be concrete reasons to do mass mobilization, or else we become hot heads who just on the moment of everything jump up without thinking through. We are not just rap-rousers. To do the bidding of everyone that thinks every little thing you react to. We don't react. We act or we respond. And we respond in a strategic manner with a view to getting maximum result. Let me give you some of the things. More activities have been done within the Jonathan regime than even Yar'adua itself. The borderline was the day we presented a charter to save Nigeria. That was the day the president died, 5th of May. We presented it about afternoon of that day. By evening, the president died. And instantly, we went into different gentlemen. One evil is gone, namely power hijack. Another one is coming. All things like zoning and this began, and we were not distracted. We said Nigeria needs a credible electoral register. If all the reforms we are looking for cannot be obtained, let's start with a clean slate, with a totally digital electoral register with identity cards and everything that will identify the voter and that will not allow duplicity of voters in different places. That we did. We did not only, SNG in its chapters have not only gone to the streets to decry governors who are trying to embezzle funds and to expose them. Some of them were harassed, some of them were arrested. The headquarters had to move into action to see that they were released. We went to Onikon Stadium to talk about free, fair, and credible election. We went beyond that to go to Abuja in recent times to talk about free, fair, and credible election. One of the platforms presented was where Duke now exposed how Nigerian governors have been rigging election for the past 8 years. That becomes a manual to watch, a manual to study, to prevent future occurrences. So we are not pro or anti anyone. We are pro the people of Nigeria. We are pro constitutionalism. We are pro justice. We are pro equitable redistribution of resources in our country. We are pro everything that will make Nigeria great. Our assignment is to save Nigeria. Our assignment is to change Nigeria. Our assignment is to make Nigeria great. And the weapons we want to use is to defree social mobility, to unblock the minds of our people so that they can see how power functions and how sovereignty is in their hands, not in the hands of the people they fear, and to restore their voice back to them so that they can RSVP, as we now say, as it was stipulated in one of our outings at the Onikon Stadium by young people. Register. Every Nigerian voting age must register. We are mobilizing and ensuring that that will be done. Not only to register, as that means you are going to select who you vote for. The situation where the worst of us have been ruining our country under the pretext of running it, whereas the best, the fittest, the most competent, and the brightest are sidelined so that the masses of our people, like you said, will continuously be marginalized. That will be a thing of the past if we can get a credible voters register, if we can get enabling environment and conduct a peaceful election, if we can get enabling legislation to ensure that those who are perpetrating such things will not get away scot-free. These are the things SNG have been putting together behind the scene, and we have not laid back. We are going to every geopolitical zone, we are going to every region to ensure that this is accomplished.
We have seen Pastor Tunde Bakare, the preacher, Pastor Tunde Bakare, the man standing on the side of the people. When are we going to get Pastor Tunde Bakare, the candidate? Do you have plans to contest an election?
In the immediate, my assignment and those of the core leadership of SNG is to nurture this group and not be distracted. But in the course of events, many of us who are involved in the kitchen of what you call the SNG are going to emerge and come out, because we are not going to labor for others to eat anymore. We can propound all these ideas, we can bring these all things into the forefront of the burner, and then those who did not labor, who did not do anything, who would rather not use their money to buy into it, but buy it over, will now hijack it and continue the mess. That will not allow to happen again. So you will see many of us as candidates.
How strong is youth participation in the SNG?
Youth, we dedicated a whole bunch to them. In fact, one of the things we did immediately after we started was an SNG Youth Day. And in October, we are going to have another one. We are giving them their prime place because they are creative. As many of them, both of voting age and those who are yet to attain that age, are being encouraged, because we are not saying the future belongs to the youth. We say the future is now, and the youth must participate in what is happening, like we saw in the Obama election.